Have you guys noticed this very silent young man that often sits in that back corner? You know, sometimes he's here, sometimes he's not. Sometimes we get him to go to coffee hour, sometimes he sneaks out. Have you noticed that one back there? Very good-looking young man, yes, yes. His name is Justin Bruno. Whew. I always wondered why I didn't know his last name. Now I know why he never told me. Justin G. There you go. He's going to share with us a little bit about who he is. We live in an area that has seen a lot of people that have struggled with life and struggled with things that are going on in life. And God has brought them out of it. And he has such a testimony to share with us today. So, Justin?
Good morning, everyone. Morning. That's very calm. I will do my best with this. Hello, everyone. My name is Justin, and
I don't know, do you use your hands to talk? Well done. It's not going to work.
okay. So my name is Justin, and I am currently interning from the Salvation Army, and I went through their program. They have an adult rehabilitation program, which is what I went through. And it varies from center to center. My program was 7 months long. I stayed there for a year. And it works with a lot of different people. A lot of people from the penitentiaries, a lot of people from facing various issues, homelessness, drug addiction, any issue you can really think of. They cater to a lot of needs. And I really feel blessed to work there. I've been working there as an intern for the last 6-7 months now. I work there as a counselor. And I work with a lot of great people. And it's sad because a lot of these people aren't given many opportunities. And we help them with that. I'll give you a little bit more background about myself. From an early age, I got into a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. I went to a reform school. And I remember the reason why I discovered I wanted to help people, which was I had to go to a psychologist at a very young age. And I would save up my lunch money and not eat for the day. And every day I would go hungry. And every day I would save up that money. So the psychologist calls me into his office and he says, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm doing well." He's like, you don't look too good." I'm like, "Well, I haven't eaten in a while." He says to me, "You know, I was just about to eat lunch. Would you like me to make you some?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I'm like, "I don't want to bother you, though." He said to me, "Why would it bother me? You know, I'm just making you something out of my lunch here." And it meant so much to me. This little thing that he did meant so much to me. I realized we can help so many people by doing these little things. I'm not going to say my life was turned around from that exact instant. It took a lot longer than that. I actually was in the Salvation Army program from June until June last year. So that gives you a kind of timeline of when things started to get a little bit better. And, you know, my life, I'm not going to go into very much, but, you know, there's a lot of people that struggle with a lot of things. You know, for a lot of people, they don't understand what it's like to be maybe abused or abandoned. And you have to give a speech when you graduate the program. And that freaks a lot of guys out. Like, what am I going to say, you know? And we have to pick a Bible verse. And people pick pretty amazing verses. Mine I wanted short and to the point. And it was, "While I am in this world, I am the light of this world." And that was for a particular reason. When I was younger, I felt that there was no light whatsoever. There was a moment in my life where that light disappeared, and I was left in a world full of darkness. And that's never a world I need to live in ever again. I truly feel like the prodigal son. I feel like at one point destroyed, diminished, and knowing that I never need to live that way again is really the most beautiful thing in the world, which is why I picked that quote. And the guys I work with, it's just, different centers have male and female centers. Mine is just a male center, so I only work with men. The men I work with, I see this light in all of them. They might not see it in themselves, but it's such an amazing thing to be able to see them that first day come in and that last day leaving. And they learned an awful lot. You know, one of my favorite stories is Exodus. And I truly felt like I was wandering through the desert for a long time. And the scariest part was wandering through that desert alone. And now I know I never need to be in that desert alone. I'm just wondering, does anyone have any questions for me at all? Well, I'm going to share a little bit more, but okay, so I'm just debating what I should share. Well,
do you help with all aspects of their lives? I mean, where they live, or do they need to live within your confines?
okay, that's a very good question. Yes, I didn't bring up the program very well. It's a 7-month, it's actually, they stay there, they live there, and they work there, they pay for their way, food-wise, anything, and they are encouraged to, take classes. We actually have classes for them. They're encouraged to make meetings such as AA. We have tons of groups for them. We also have counseling, which is what I do. Every week, they come into the counseling office and we'll deal with various issues. And we have a very hands-on approach. So if they need to make doctor's appointments, anything, they can come to us for all that stuff. We're extremely involved. But we also prefer for them to get help from outside sources, so we facilitate all those needs. So for 7 months, they're expected to stay there a year max. And it's actually a very hard program. It's very demanding, and they'll tell you that right off the bat. I like to tell my guys that.
What project you redeem restored?
That's a good question. Well, this is actually, I've lived in this area for quite some time, very close to here. I've always passed this area. I've always passed this church, and I was actually going to a lot of different churches because I wanted to see the varying people in the churches. And this is one of the churches I was brought to. There's really no thought process on it. It's just where I found myself.
Thank you.
Welcome. So I wanted to elaborate a little bit on my way of thinking and how I got to where I am today. Growing up, I was exposed to kind of an I didn't care type of ideology. And it's so funny or interesting to see the people that feel that way also. And it's so strange because people that don't care, you cannot tell them to care. It's not an easy thing. And when I first heard that, we had to go up and make speeches and talk about who we were, who we are. And the first person to get there was like, well, I didn't care. Like, I just wanted to do whatever I wanted to do, and that's what I want to do. And that was me. People couldn't understand it, but growing up, the way I was brought up, it's just, it just didn't seem like consequences mattered whatsoever. I wasn't like living to live, I was living to die. That's the reality of it, And now I live life to live. It's a very weird thing. if anyone's ever lived and didn't care about their life, you can understand it's weird. That's the way to put it. And to live life and actually care about who you are, it's an interesting thing. Like I said, I felt truly alone until the Salvation Army brought me into its doors. You know, I have all of you people in my life, and I'm so grateful that I wouldn't have that without what they gave me. Why did I end up with the Salvation Army? I was in a few legal troubles. And I was still drinking. You know, I cut most other things out of my life. And my probation officer did not like it. At that point, I didn't really care what she liked. So she kind of forced me into a wall where she was like, well, you have to go there or else. And I was like, well, give me the or else. You know, I don't really care what you're saying. And it took a struggle for me to say, like, I got to stop being so petty, you know. And I heard about the Salvation Army, what they do and how their program runs. And I actually wanted to go, to tell you the truth. I wanted that redemption. Before that, I was on probation, I was going to school. I was feeling so low that I stopped going to school. I took about a 2-year period off, and I didn't even plan to go back. I was just sitting in self-loathing, just drinking, and I think my probation officer, she might have realized that. She probably saw that I really wasn't doing much. She was like, you know, you were going to college, you were doing this, like, what happened? And it took a long time for me to realize that, too. And actually, when I completed the Salvo, they let me stay there, and they let me graduate, which was a very cool thing. And to go to my last year, while I was in the program, they actually took care of that and facilitated that very well. And that's a trend that they like to continue. For a lot of the guys now, they encourage them to go back to school, or, you know, and that wasn't really a huge thing. When I did it, they kind of started embracing that more, because I don't think guys really decided to do that, but you'd see all these older guys do it now, and it's a very cool thing. But yeah, I was just destroyed. You know, like I said, I didn't plan to go back to school. I didn't plan to really do anything. You know I always wanted to help people, because this feeling of hopelessness, you know, it resonated with me. And to see, you know, the change. Now I'm grateful for everything that's happened. There's a little bit of humility there. You know, I'm happy with all the things I went through, because I wouldn't be able to stand here today. I wouldn't be able to do what I am doing today. You know, the humility that I don't think I'm better than anyone. I think I'm here as a servant, really. I'm here to help people. And to be able to have that facilitated through another program that feels the same way has really spoke wonders to me. So, in honesty, I didn't even know that program existed until I was forced to go there. And I remember being forced to go there. I remember my first trip there. It was an experience, you know, going into a house with 50 other people there, and you're like, what's going on? Like, who's the, you know, it's a weird experience. And to go through that, to grow through it, and be able to stay there and help people do the same thing has really impacted me. Like I said, I went through a time where I didn't care what happened to me whatsoever. There was no light. You know, I felt like I was going through the desert alone. And those are all terrible, terrible things. And to be able to stand here alone or in front of you guys, know that that's never going to be the case again. That's why I'm glad I'm here. That's why I'm glad I've done everything I've done.
Who's got you? Justin, what was your aha moment?
I'll answer that in a second. He's my everything. Protector.
Hear what my question was.
Oh, say over time? Who is God to me?
Yeah.
He's my everything. He's my protector. He's my will. I'm not on my will anymore. I gave my will up. I'm fine not having it, because every decision I made, I'm not saying they were all bad decisions, but they weren't the best. What was your question?
What was your aha moment? Do you know when that came?
My aha moment was a varying.
Was it gradual or was it like?
It was gradual. You know, it was really through the people I met in life, especially at the center, but all through life. You know, I had people that wanted to take care of me all through life, and it was sad because they had no idea why I did the things I did. You know, they were just like, you seem like such a good person, like why? And even today, people, I tell them my story, and they're like, really? That was you? Yeah, things happen. And it really was through, which is why I dedicate what I'm doing now to the same cause, just random people in my life that were always there for me, you know, that always wanted to share knowledge, that always cared about me. And for a long time, I lacked compassion. I lacked compassion pretty intensely. And I'm not going to say I'm the most compassionate person, you know, now. You know, I'm actually rough on a lot of people. I'm not, you know, I don't coddle people. But the fact that people were just there for me spoke volumes. And that's really what gave me my aha moment. Yes?
What did you go to school for? What did you graduate with?
I graduated with psychology and sociology, which that was the field I wanted to graduate with since high school. And it meant so much. Like I said, in my, I would consider my darkest moments, I didn't even care to go back to school. So that was a true blessing. You know, there was no meaning for it in me, and now there's more meaning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What would you like us to know?
What would I like? That's a really good question. What would I like you to know? I'll explain what I've learned is that patience is a good one. I'm not a very patient person whatsoever. The head counselor there is amazing. He is the most patient person I've ever seen. And I am not even trying to go near that level of patientness. But we have to understand that every person we meet goes through a different experience. And we can never fully or truly understand what they've gone through. Like I said, there have been people who looked at me like, what are you doing? This does not make, like, they couldn't add it together. And it was so funny hearing the first person say, I don't care. I didn't care. You know, the consequences didn't mean anything to me. And that's the same way I felt. So to remember that every person or individual is unique and needs compassion, needs understanding, that's kind of what I do. I try to understand. I try to, you know, I don't go into a room thinking I know someone. I go into a room thinking I'm going to learn about something. And it's amazing just being there for someone. Sometimes all you have to do is listen. And someone, that's going to give them so much relief because you have to realize some people, the problems they faced, it's been their whole lives that they've been either running from something or they haven't faced something. I couldn't tell I knew what problems I was running from, but running was so much easier than dealing with them. It really was. And to be able to sit in a room with someone that might be going through the same pain, and this is their first chance that they've gotten due to any circumstance to come talk to me, it's really a beautiful thing. Like I said, through no one's fault, there's not too many programs. I mean, there are a lot of programs, but some of these guys, like I said, for the first time, they might be getting help. And I've learned that if you have an open heart, open ears, and you're really, truly there with that person, it could mean the world to them. Just like when I was younger, it meant the world to me. Do you have a question?
I was going to ask, what's the average age of those that you consult?
It varies so much. It could be anywhere from, the minimum age is usually 21, but I have guys in my office that are about 60 years old.
A room for 80-year-old? No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I don't know about right now. It's kind of packed in there, but
You have to have the time if you take him in.
yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
answer.
But yeah, it varies. The backgrounds vary so much. What people come in there varies so much. 3-5 Griswold Street. And that's one thing I like about it. You know, the demographic, it's so varied that, you know, just to see everyone come together, the things they do together, it's truly amazing. Anyone else? Thank you. All right, thank you guys so much. I appreciate being here for you, and I appreciate you lending your ears to me.
He says he's not feeling well, so he's going to rush out on us. I have one more question. Does it make any difference at all when we sit down with somebody we don't know at the table downstairs at coffee hour?
I would say so, yeah.
Does it?
I think anytime you can be there for anyone else, it means the world to them, no matter what distance.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin.
Amen.
Thank you.
Feel better.
Thanks.
It's really awesome to know what some of these people go through that we see and that we greet at the door. And I'm just so thankful that Justin was willing to share that with us.